I'm going to show you how you can be a profitable part-time trader while still holding down your full-time career. Before I was doing this full-time, I was exactly that person. I was part-time, I was working in a hospital, and I was checking my charts throughout the day very, very sparsely. But it allowed me to become a part-time trader and make money on the side while making money in the hospital. And you can do that too. And if you haven't seen my journey, I actually ended up quitting medical school, dropping out after 2 years, and taking on trading full-time. And I'm going to show you how I did that right now. So come over here and look at this chart. This is a weekly chart, and it may look like a bunch of squiggly lines, but there is a method behind this, and it's a rather simple method. Now, remember, guys, inflation is high right now. Things are expensive. Gas is expensive. Food is expensive. This is a great opportunity for you to have another way of generating a little bit more income for going on vacations, going out to dinner, doing things with your family, etc. It is a great way to kind of add extra cash to the bank account, and it's a really fun way of doing it also. So you're probably saying, okay, let's get to it. How do we do this? So down here on the bottom is what is called my weekly stochastic or my weekly trend. And what this really tells me is what the stock is doing or the direction that it's going over a longer period of time versus a daily, which kind of gives it moves more quickly. And the reason is because it's tracking the day-to-day movement. So if we look at something like Google, and we just go back in history. And I like going back in history because Google was always able to, and you can still find these stocks where they're able to go for a very, very long time. And as the stochastic works with you, where the trend is with you, you are making money in the stock. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time. So if we look at this was back in November of 2020. So this is really simple. There's a couple of parameters that I would need you as the part-time trader, the person at work. You can go and do this on your lunch break. You can do this during your bathroom break. Just check the charts for maximum 5 minutes a day. So what we're looking for, because it moves so slowly, we're looking for trend. Number one is trend. We're moving through the sweet spot being the area between 80% on the top, that's that red horizontal line, and 32% on the bottom. Now, why do I call that the sweet spot? Good question. It's because it gives you the highest probability to make money. Remember, in trading, it's all about probabilities. You're going to lose. There's going to be times that you lose, but you want to give yourself the highest probability to make that money. So making that trade when the trend is in the sweet spot is the time to do it. So for Google, looking at this, I'm looking and saying, all right, my trend here is in the sweet spot. It's moving progressively higher. And at some point, it's just going to start to go sideways on the top. Now, when do we add? Yes, you're going to find times where the trend is in the sweet spot, but how do you know when to add? How do I know when to buy a stock? Well, that's a great question. And that is when we zoom in a little bit further. We zoom in and we say, what do we look for? We look for engulfing candlesticks. Now, an engulfing candlestick is when your candle kind of takes out the previous day. I'll find you an example here. So if you come here, and each one of these candles is one individual day, this candle right here, you can see that it's higher and as big as the previous day. That would be your buy point. Now, some of you are probably saying, okay, Mo, I see that a few of these days, if we just draw a line down, so you can tell that we're in the sweet spot here. A few of these days, 1, 2, 3, we're in the sweet spot. Why weren't we buying? That's a great question. And the answer is you need to wait for the buy signal. That's the engulfing candlestick. You can go in and look at a bunch of stocks, and there are going to be many, many, many that have this trend. They're in the sweet spot, but they often fail, meaning that these red and yellow lines start to turn downwards. They don't take off. And what happens when you have a trend that turns downwards? Well, the stock price starts to fall. Why is that? Because that means that there's not volume being driven into it. There's not participation to the upside, meaning that there are buyers in the market. So you need to wait to get that confirmation signal being the engulfing candlestick. So now that we have our engulfing candlestick, which is here, we know that we're in the sweet spot. We're moving right along. Now what happens? Now it comes down to the 5 minutes per day. You look at this at 5 minutes maximum per day. And what are you looking for? Well, when you're sitting at lunch, at 12 o'clock, you look and say, all right, what's going on? I'm in the stock. Everything's great. Now, where's my trend? Is my trend still here in the sweet spot, and is it still moving up? If the answer is yes, you just did your work for the day. That's your being a part-time trader. You come back the next day, the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. The next important part for you as the part-time trader is, when do I exit? And that's probably the question that you're asking, and it's a great question because you need to know when to take your profits. Now, I want to zoom out a little bit and just show you. As the stock price continues to go higher and higher, what do you notice the trend is doing? Well, the trend is getting to this top side and it's just going sideways. And I can just keep zooming out because it just keeps going. So as we came through the sweet spot here and we just go sideways. And as long as your red line and your yellow line are on top of this red horizontal line, you do not need to exit. So all of these days, all of these lunch breaks or these bathroom breaks, you're not doing anything. You're just waiting. And that is how simple it is. You don't exit until your red line and your yellow line drop below that 80% line. And you can see how long that took. Here was our buy area right in here, and you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything until you got around this point. You ended up selling here. So say that you bought somewhere around $85 and you ended up selling around $130, $135, and you didn't have to do a single thing except for check for 5 minutes a day. That is how you can become a profitable part-time trader. Now, you don't have to do this alone. We have a great community of people, many of which are part-time traders. I can think of 3 of them off the top of my head. One, his name is Gianni. He is a fantastic part-time trader, works in the hospitality business as his career. Another one is a chiropractor who's actually a very good friend of mine now. He trades so many times in the chiropractor office that he owns, and he is working, doing his full-time job. You can do this too. And the great part is we have the community for you. You can bounce ideas off of these individuals. You can bounce ideas off of me. You can kind of get comfortable and see how it is actually a tangible thing to achieve. I promise you that if you come in and you join, you will be able to become a profitable trader if you follow the rules and talk with these people.